And welcome back to Mobility Matters. I'm your host, Javier Betancourt, Executive Director of the Citizens Independent Transportation Trust, or CITT. We're the quasi-independent agency of Miami-Dade County charged with overseeing your half-penny sales tax for transportation. So today, I'm really excited about my guest. He is a dear old friend. Old in that we've known each other for a long time. Yes,
vintage friend.
Vintage friend and a fellow urban planner. Just a great guy, and we've been working together for many years. I can't even remember for how long. But I was really happy to see that you threw your hat in the ring for elected office and are now a City of Miami Commissioner. Let's welcome Ralph Rosado to the program. Ralph.
Thank you, Javier. I'm really excited to be here. We have been friends for a long time, and certainly you've been doing amazing work with regard to transit and mobility throughout Miami-Dade County, which is something that's also very important to me. I feel incredibly blessed to have the fortune to be the District 4 Commissioner. I am stepping into the shoes of Manolo Reyes, may he rest in peace, who was an exemplary public servant.
Wonderful guy.
So I've really got so a lot of good things that I need to accomplish to be able to uphold his memory.
Yeah, and Commissioner, I apologize for not wearing my pink tie, but apparently you and your supporters have bought every last tie in Miami, so I do like that. So great idea.
Absolutely. We try.
For those who don't speak Spanish, rosado means pink,
yes,
right? And so
absolutely,
you've cornered the market on pink tie and activewear.
We're having some fun with it.
Yeah, so let's start with your background. For those who may not know, I did say you're an urban planner, but talk to us about kind of your career path. You went to some wonderful universities, so tell us about your background.
Absolutely. So I'm a Miami native. I'm the son of Cuban immigrants who got here in the 60s. I was born and raised in Little Havana, so I know City of Miami very, very well. Wound up going to public schools for most of my life, and ultimately graduated from Belen and then FIU, and had the great fortune, after working for a number of years, I actually went to graduate school. Like many folks, I thought I was going to be an attorney, and when I realized that wasn't the right career path for myself, I didn't know what to do, and stumbled into local government and absolutely loved it. So I worked on the administrative side at a few different cities. Ultimately wound up going to graduate school for public policy and urban planning, which is my passion, and studied at Princeton University and the University of Pennsylvania. And so I live, breathe, eat city design and trying to make our cities really, safe and desirable for people of all ages and abilities. So have had the ability to work on a number of transit-related projects. Actually did some consulting work for CITT some years back to help you all with some strategic planning. And so helping people get around Miami and Miami-Dade is something that's incredibly important to me. And it's one of the things I'm laser focused on achieving during my tenure as a city commissioner.
And you've served, you said, in government early in your career, but you're also recently city manager. I'm sorry, is it village manager?
Yeah, I was village manager at North Bay Village for close to 6 years, and we were able to do a tremendous amount there. I'm very proud of the work that we did, and now I'm bringing that skill set and that same level of energy and passion to the city of Miami, which I think needs us even more. Right? It's the city at the heart of Miami-Dade County. It's got lots of challenges. It always has, but it plays such a central role that helps to, I hope, lead the way for the other cities in our community.
Well, you bring such a vast amount of experience and skill sets into this role. And it's always surprised me, actually, as an urban planner, why there aren't more of us in elected of office. And I don't know if you know, but between just you and Joe Corradino are the only two I can even think of Miami-Dade County, a place with 34 cities, the county. And yet, we seemed like we would be primed for that role, just given, what we do and what we care about. So why do you think it is that more planners don't run?
It is. It's really unusual. Folks in elected office tend to be attorneys or maybe engineers or small business owners. They tend to be from certain backgrounds. I think we need more urban planners. And so the fact that I bring those years of study and of practical work experience in the field with me to the seat means that I've been able to hit the ground running. I've hired an exemplary team that puts up with all of my sort of fast-paced, nonstop requests to try to do good for the community. And so, I'm just now celebrating my first 100 days in office, and we've actually launched a number of initiatives related to mobility and other things that are incredibly important to us. Javier, one of the things that I did is, before getting into office, I actually campaigned for about 6 months, essentially 7 days a week, knocked on thousands and thousands of doors and listened to the community. And I made a note of all the kinds of things that they were requesting. And And so once elected, I decided that I needed to have some sort of a framework, a vision that actually brought all these things together, all the things that folks had been clamoring for, to make sure that we could achieve them in a way that's cohesive and to give direction to the kinds of things we were working on. And so we came up with something called our CASA master plan. CASA, it means home in Spanish. And so the idea is, together with the community, we're building a better house, a better home for the residents of District 4 in the city of Miami. And CASA is also an acronym, so it's CASA, where the C means community, the first A is adaptability, the S is safety, and the last A is affordability. And so everything we do fits under one or more of those pillars as we build our house together. And so I'm happy to discuss the many exciting things we have that are related to mobility. So
for sure, because as you and I both know, mobility, intersects with practically every issue.
everything.
You can't think of transportation mobility without thinking of land use, economic development, workforce housing, you name it, resiliency, right?
Exactly.
Now, before we get into that, let's, for those who may not be aware of what District 4 is, tell us the neighborhoods within the city of Miami that you kind of represent.
Sure. So District 4 is essentially the southwest part of the city. So the eastern boundary is 17th Avenue. The western is essentially the Palmetto. On the south end, it goes up to Coconut Grove, like up to US 1 without crossing into Coconut Grove. And then it wraps around Coral Gables in West Miami. And on the north end, it's Northwest 7th Street. So it's La Sahuesera, as many would call it. So we've got Shenandoah, Silver Bluff, Coral Gate, Golden Pines, which is the Douglas Park area, and Flagami.
And you yourself still live in Coral Gate?
I live in Coral Gate, yes. Been there over a decade.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start there. Coral Gate just kind of triggered something that maybe touches on some of the issues you want to talk about, which is live local, right? So I know that there is a large live local project that's being proposed for the old Sears site right by Coral Gate. I'm sure it's something you're actively kind of looking at. Let's start there and how that touches maybe on some of those CASA initiatives.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been very vocal about live local. I think there's a lot of good in the legislation. I think it's well-intentioned, but I have pushed back, in conjunction with my neighbors, because there are concerns about the project there being maybe a little bit out of scale. And so the property is actually now for sale. That's the latest on that. So there isn't anything proposed just yet. They're shopping it around, as is their right, and we'll see what ultimately is proposed. If they go the live local route, we don't have much say. If they don't.
So live local, for those who don't know, is basically a state preemption of local zoning in a nutshell, right?
Yes.
It's a little more complicated than that for developers who want to build affordable housing. And it allows them to kind of basically build these massive projects without local approval.
Right. And in that area, so essentially, so long as you set aside 40% of the units to be workforce, you can build as tall as the tallest building within a mile, which in that area is 23 stories, which is, it's pretty tall. And our neighborhood is a neighborhood conservation district. So we've locked in for many years now single family zoning. So to have that transition from a 23-story building to single family homes can feel pretty abrupt to folks. And the other thing that's of some concern is the level of density. So you're allowed to go to the maximum density in that city, which in our case is Brickell, 1,000 units an acre. So it is potentially very tall and very, very dense. So folks have expressed their concerns. Let's see what happens, because I've heard there may be interest in doing a not local project, in which case it would come to the commission and I'd have the opportunity to negotiate some concessions and try to keep the project to a more manageable scale. And I've committed to the residents that that's exactly what I would do.
Well, there's no one better qualified to help build, an appropriately scaled development in that location. So hopefully they go that route. So let's get back to CASA. So you want to start, in order? What's the C and what are some of the initiatives?
Sure, absolutely. So with regard to community, we've got a number of things going on, but one of the things that I noticed right away, and again, I'd previously served up until last year as a city manager. And one of the things I did in that role was negotiate what's called a joint use agreement with Miami-Dade County Public Schools. And what that is, most schools, they tend to, shut down for the day at like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, around that time. And then the fields go unused after that. And certainly on the weekends. Most schools are just not open at nights and on the weekends. And so back in the village, we were able to negotiate an agreement to use the fields at the local public school at night and on weekends. And so when I got elected, I said, I'd like to get a copy of all the joint use agreements for the schools in my district. And I have 7 public schools in District 4. And what I quickly learned is we actually have no joint use agreements for District 4 or any of the other schools in the city. And so we've proposed to negotiate a master agreement for all 40 or so public schools within the city. And so that is moving forward. We've got a first draft of it, and it should be coming back to the commission for final approval before the end of the year. And then it'll go to the school board. And at that point, our residents will start to have access to soccer fields, basketball courts, playground equipment, and all kinds of things, which most neighborhoods don't have access to. Soccer fields and basketball and football and baseball and all those things.
Or they have to travel to it, adding
to travel to
congestion.
It, yeah. And a lot of neighborhoods in my district and throughout the city just don't have parks, period, right? We have lots of really high quality parks, but many neighborhoods have never had a park, right? It's very expensive to buy land in Miami, as we know, and to cobble something like that. But everybody's got a neighborhood school, right? So if suddenly we have access to those fields, think about all the families and senior citizens and folks in wheelchairs of all ages that will have the opportunity to go outside and get some fresh air, socialize with other folks, get off their computers and their phones and their tablets and all of that, and really enjoy what it is to be a Miamian.
That's brilliant. And by the way, they paid for it, right? So, whether you have kids or not, you're paying taxes towards it. So you deserve, I think, to get something out
absolutely. That's folks gripe about that. They, if they don't have kids anymore, or if they didn't send them into the public school system, they say, well, why do I pay that? We know the benefits of education, and having high quality schools is incredibly important. But the reality is, sure, the school board could do even more for us if they give us that access.
Yeah, tangible benefit. Awesome. So, okay, let's move to the first A.
Sure, adaptability. And so one of the things we introduced, this actually just got approved last week by the commission, is that, we want to make sure that folks are able to stay in their homes in a way that's affordable. And we want to make sure that they are protected from hurricanes and tropical storms and the like. And so for the year 2026, we will be having our SAVE initiative. And SAVE is Stormproof Assistance and Value Enhancements Initiative. And what that means is if you come in next year and start to pull a permit to do things that protect your house or make it more energy efficient, you will get half off on your permit fees.
Nice.
And so that 50% discount means that I think a lot of folks will take advantage, and they'll come in and replace their roof. They will put in generators. They'll replace their old windows and doors with impact windows and doors that will protect them from the hurricane. They will put in, energy efficient toilets and those kinds of things. So anything that protects you from storms or makes your home more energy efficient, in the year 2026, you're going to get half off on your permit fees. We did that in the village, and what we saw is while we take a little bit of a hit on the money we collect from the permitting fees, many more people take advantage of it. So you recoup the dollars overall, and more importantly, you help the community to be able to stay in their home in a way that's safe and more affordable to them.
Not to mention helping to stimulate local business, right? These things have to be purchased. There's sales tax, which then also increases the transportation surtax. So we certainly appreciate that, because then we can make more investments in mobility and transportation projects. So it's a win-win-win-win. So
it's a win for everybody. Absolutely.
Another wonderful initiative. Thank you. So let's see. Where are we on CASA? S.
So safety. So a couple of things. We are looking to expand the number of police officers that we have so we can have more patrols out on the streets. For a big city, the number of officers we have is disproportionately low, and it can take a while to hire police officers. So we're supporting a request to go ahead and expand our police force over the next several years. We also want to make sure that our schools and parks are as safe as possible. And so we're working closely with the administration to look at the safety conditions around schools and parks with an eye towards adding additional signage about speed limits, adding speed humps, and making it so that if you're a child or a parent walking your kid or an older citizen, that it's actually much safer to get to those places.
Yeah, and the city has done a good job overall in different neighborhoods putting in a lot of traffic calming with their half-penny funds, in part at least. So
thank you for that.
Yeah, no. And listen, I'll be honest, I live west of the Gables. I work in downtown, and I am one of those who cuts through those neighborhoods that you represent because I don't want to be stuck on Coral Way.
Sure.
But as a result of that, a lot of these neighborhoods are seeing people really fly through there. And so I think those traffic calming devices are smart and necessary. So,
right. Yeah, no, and the thing is, we pick schools and parks in particular because that tends to be in any neighborhood where you have the most foot traffic, right? Yeah. So you have the biggest volume of people getting there, but the conditions around them aren't necessarily so great. So just in the last couple of weeks at one of our parks, we added bollards we have lots of these pocket parks.
Yeah.
And so this is where a single family home used to be. And there might not naturally be a speed hump or some other deterrent around it. But the reality is, if we are giving folks the opportunity to play on this parcel, we got to make sure that getting there and being there is as safe as possible.
Absolutely. All right, we're down to the last A.
You got it. Affordability. Well, we are proposing eliminating city property taxes for senior citizens that are homeowners. And so that is looking like it's going to get approved next week as part of our next fiscal year budget. That's going to save many, many folks thousands of dollars.
Regardless of income, regardless of the home's
There are going to be some there's an income consideration for sure, but you've got to be 65 or older. You have to be a homeowner. And so you've got a homestead exemption. That's the way we can track that. Right. And there are income criteria for it. So if you're super affluent, you don't see the savings, but many people will see it.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my mother move to the city of Miami.
There you go. There you go. We'll take her. District 4.
Fantastic. She'll be there. She'll be there. Actually, the prices are a little high. All right. So we've touched on all the CASA. So let's now kind of turn the tables a little bit and talk specifically about mobility and transportation. So District 4, I'm sure there are a number of trolley routes, or at least one that I can think of through there.
There are several.
Talk to us about what transit services are available there, both either fixed, like a trolley, or increasingly on-demand service.
So in District 4, we actually have a few ways to get around. So we do have a trolley system, and I want to mention that in the next couple of months, we're going to actually be doing a survey to see if folks think that the routes that we have, which tend to be, you'll see a Flagler route that's very popular, for example. We want to make sure that we are taking the trolley where people, meeting people where they need to be met, kind of thing. And so we're going to be doing a survey to see if that's the right, place to be. So one of the challenges, you got transit on Flagler and on 8th Street, but what about the folks in between that can't maybe get to either of those very easily? Should we maybe have expanded service on Southwest 4th Street, for example? That's something that several folks have asked. So we're going to see, if we provided it, if we build it, will they come?
Yeah.
And so we're going to be looking into maybe we make some adjustments to our trolley routes. We've got Metro Rail running through a large portion of District 4 because we've got everything on US 1 from 17th Avenue all the way to Coral Gables. And so that means we've got multiple Metro Rail stops. Maybe there are things we can do to get, the county service to be even better for our residents. We obviously, as a result of that, have several miles of the underline. We have about a third of the entire underline route, which is incredibly exciting to me. I served as one of the initial board members, about a decade ago, when it was, Meg Daly's dream, and now it's very much a reality. And in the next few weeks, we're actually opening up a large segment of it in District 4. So we're very, very excited about that.
And the city has contributed towards the underline, so credit to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's obviously been a labor of love that a lot of folks have agreed to support, for sure.
And any on-demand services, either existing or in the works? So when I say on-demand, people might know that as Freebie, is one of the vendors.
We don't have it in District 4, but my other hat, beyond being a city commissioner for District 4, is I'm the chair of the Downtown Development Authority, where we absolutely have Freebie. But what we're looking to do there, that several folks have requested, is make sure to cross that Brickell Bridge, which is it's like parting the Red Sea.
It's like the Great Wall of China of Miami.
The Great Wall of China, and so what we're looking to do is revise that contract so that it actually can take you from what's considered the central business district, like the heart of downtown, over to Brickell and back and forth. Instead of the Brickell freebies will take you to and from locations in Brickell, and the ones in the central business district will do the same in that area, but there's not a sort of crossing that's very important. Lots of folks live in Brickell but work downtown, or vice versa. We want to make sure to serve those folks. Yeah,
and of course we have Metro Mover, but number one, it's going through some issues as they try to upgrade the system, and number two, even that doesn't take you everywhere you need to go.
It doesn't. But we're excited.
This is filling the gaps.
We are going to have in the next few days, and I think the date is being adjusted, so we'll let everybody know. But there's going to be an opening of the Miami World Center Metro Mover station, which is really exciting. So we'll be there to help cut that ribbon.
Yeah, so the DDA, yet another thing we have in common. So you're the chair now, and I was deputy director there for many years. So
that's right.
Shout out to all the good friends at DDA.
Absolutely.
They do great things. So in addition to Freebie, what are some of the other kind of transportation initiatives that the agency is working towards? I know there's constantly either bike ped improvements or
there are. So the city is looking to make some adjustments to its bicycle master plan, and we're going to be putting that out as well. We'd love to get feedback. There are all sorts of proposed, whether it's sharrows or dedicated bike lanes, all sorts of things. And I'd love to get some additional feedback on that. I know they've had public meetings in the past, but they predate me. So I want to hear exactly what folks think so that we can make bicycling safer throughout the district and the city.
Yeah, and the Underline is a great example of that. But the Underline to me is like a highway for a bike ped project.
Right.
And then you need to get the more localized kind of on-street type of infrastructure, which has to be safe, right? The stripes on the road don't necessarily cut it.
That's
Do you agree?
right.
So I know DDA, for instance, built some separated bike lanes in downtown. Do you know if there are plans or to expand those?
There are some plans to expand them, but we're also going to try to regulate them a little bit better, because what we're finding is that delivery trucks are parking on them. And so we've got something in the works to make it so that there's more of a deterrent for that and get those trucks to park elsewhere, like designated spots for deliveries for the Amazons of the world, so that they're not parking on the bike path. Because what's the sense of having the bike path if it's not safe to actually access?
Yeah, I know increasingly, not only with delivery, but with rideshare, curb management has really become
absolutely
an important consideration.
We're doing that in District 4, in fact, in tandem with the folks at Miracle Marketplace on Coral Way, because we've noticed that folks tend to come to a complete stop in front of the veterinary clinic and a variety of places there. And so we've actually worked very closely with the police department. We put signage in that area saying, no parking, no stopping, no deliveries, nothing like that. And we've also worked, which is really fascinating, we're working with Uber and Lyft to geo-fence it so that drivers are not allowed to stop there. They've got to go just past the mall, for example. And then we're working with the Miami Parking Authority, a very important partner to us, to have designated pickup and drop off parking. And I mention this because this issue isn't exclusive to Miracle Marketplace, but it's something that you see in a lot of locations. So it's like this multi-pronged strategy to make it safe for folks to get in and out of their vehicles as they're getting to these folks on the rideshare vehicles.
That's great. So we've touched on a lot already, but there's so much more we could touch on. So as an urban planner, I think you're uniquely positioned to kind of think about all these things holistically, right? Because we have a tendency in government in particular to think about things in silos, transportation, land use, housing, and they all influence and are impacted by each other. So how do we ensure that structurally we organize the city to think more holistically and to plan and to implement policies more holistically? Any thoughts on that?
No, that's a great point. So certainly, like, before agenda items move forward, you need a variety of folks chiming in to see if you forgot something. So something that might make sense for bicyclists may not be great for folks that care about affordable housing, for example. So you really do need that whole brain trust of folks reviewing things before they get put out there. We've seen in the past, mistakes are made when we look at things in that kind of a silo perspective. So having a lot of folks at the table that are talented, and I have to tell you, in the time that I've been an official, again, 100 days, I think that we really have at the city, we have very good staff now that we need to hold on to.
I absolutely concur with
that.
Yeah. Great people. We just had Juvenal, who is the director of, is it Capital Improvement?
Yes.
Public Works and Resiliency.
Public Works and Resiliency,
present before our board yesterday. Shout out to Juvenal. He's brilliant, and I've always been very impressed by the city staff. So
absolutely, and things are only getting better. Javier, one of the things I've said a number of times over the years, and certainly I said it on the campaign trail, is if we want to get folks out of their car, we've got to make all other forms of transportation and mobility better.
Sure.
So that means all the things we've been talking about: expanding rideshare, expanding bike routes when possible, even things as simple as planting trees and fixing sidewalks. So we have an initiative that we launched shortly after I was elected called 365 Days, 365 Trees. And the idea is that by August 1st of next year, which is when we launched it this year, we will have at least 365 shade trees planted in District 4. Because if you've got shade, it's just that much more appealing to go outside and walk in 90-degree weather. So so far we planted a little over 50 trees, and we're on track to meet our goal. And I ask about it all the time because I don't want to fall short. If we get to 364, I may dig a hole somewhere and didn't put that last tree in myself, but we've got to do that. We're also expanding and fixing the sidewalk network in District 4. So, every portion of the city that I represent is an older neighborhood, and yet there are entire blocks where sidewalks were never built, where you don't have the right-of-way dedication to install them, and so we're fixing broken sidewalks, but we're also looking for opportunities to expand on blocks where we don't have sidewalks at all, including places like right off of Flagler, right? It's been around forever, but there are places just off of Flagler. You don't have that, and folks are walking in the street or walking through somebody's front lawn, and it's not the best situation. It's not the safest. So it may get to the point where, to finish some places, I may go knock on people's doors and sort of beg them to allow us to build that sidewalk segment, but we will do whatever it takes to get that done.
Speaking of trees, I think you have an event coming up.
We do. So the city has, on October 18th, we are having a tree giveaway at Manolo Reyes Park, and it's really exciting because these are trees that I think the community is really going to love. It's primarily fruit trees. So you've got mango and guava and a series of other things. And so we're asking folks to come out that day. Please call my office. We're trying to get folks to register in advance so we know just how many guava trees and other kinds of trees to bring out. So please call us at 305-250-5420. Let us know if you're going to, be picking up a tree and what kind of tree you would like, and we'll get you registered.
Well, that's great. So El Palacio de los Jugos is going to send people out there to get all these trees for their inventory.
Whatever it takes. It's nearby. Manolo Reyes Park is at 6030 Southwest 2nd Street. So
I got to tell you, if somebody can please tell me how to keep these guava trees alive. I have tried with guava, and I just keep failing. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I don't have a green thumb either, my friend.
All right, so we talked about operating in silos in terms of issues. The other thing we tend to be prone to in our community is just kind of thinking within our jurisdictional boundaries, right? I find that there isn't a lot of kind of multi-jurisdictional cooperation or collaboration. So how, particularly your district touches on a lot of other cities, Coral Gables and
West Miami, unincorporated Miami-Dade. Yeah, absolutely.
So what can we do to better, help coordinate and collaborate with our neighboring communities so that somebody who may work or live in your district but works in Coral Gables actually can get there without having to transfer? Do you have thoughts or plans on how to partner with others?
It's about ongoing relationships. And so one of the things that I happen to have great, the fortune to have access to very easily from my home is our trolley route actually goes into Coral Gables, and theirs comes into the city of Miami. And that is such a seamless transition. And I'll tell you, that was done because of the leadership of Mayor Francis Suarez and Mayor Vince Lago, who have been friends for many, many years. And they realized these, our communities need to help each other out. So having that ongoing relationship, I reach out to the Coral Gables Commission. I reach out to the West Miami Commission. They're also right across the street from District 4. And working with County Commissioner Natalie Milian Orbis, who represents many of those areas. She represents about half my district. And certainly she represents not only portions of those two cities, but unincorporated Miami-Dade, which is also across from District 4. So it's about getting together periodically, sharing ideas, and it's something that these folks have been very much willing to do. And so we're going to do a lot of good things, including expanding the Ludlam Trail.
Thank you. Which I live right off of. So.
Yes, yeah. I mean, what an amazing, amazing thing. About 6 miles. You can, traverse it. It's what used to be railroad lines right off of 70th Avenue, and it goes from Dadeland Station up until the very northern end there of District 4 in Robert King High Park off of 70th Avenue up through Northwest 7th Street. And so I'm working very closely with her to make that a reality in my district, and helping her in the portions that aren't, but that would certainly feed into our portion. And she's been an exemplary partner so far, so I'm very excited about that. I also, with the commission support, last week we revived something. We didn't launch it because it's an idea that's been around for at least a decade, and that's something called the Miami Loop. And so the idea is that we've got a series of segments that either go through Miami or just outside of it. And that includes Ludlam Trail, the Underline, the Commodore Trail, Old Cutler Trail, the Rickenbacker Trail, and several others, South Dade and the Baywalk, etc. And the reality is each of these is moving individually in a silo. And some of them are moving faster than others. So we're seeing the Underline very much moving faster than everybody else. And then there are other things like Ludlam that need a little bit of a kickstart where segments have been done, and then there's not necessarily a strategy for the other ones, including in District 4. And so last week we adopted a resolution that I had sponsored, which was co-sponsored by Chairwoman King and also Commissioner Pardo, to go ahead and have the city designate somebody from the Parks Department to coordinate all the trail efforts so that we're all moving in tandem them. And so several of them will pick up speed. So we're going to have a designated
Trails
dedicated staff
are.
person. Exactly. A trails are. We'll take it. We'll call it whatever it is, so long as it gets done. And one of the things that I was able to, show my colleagues, because there was no map that indicated this, is that if you connect these things, and it's possible to physically connect them, you touch all 5 City of Miami Commission districts. Right. So overall, we're talking about 223 miles of trail, where Miami is absolutely at the heart of that loop.
Connectivity, what a concept.
Yeah, absolutely. And beautification, aesthetics, and places for folks to play. And I mean, it's really, really special.
If I read the article correctly, I believe that was a unanimous vote for that.
It was a unanimous vote. I'm very excited.
And that's great, right? Because there's so much divisiveness. And of course, this is what people focus on, but there are a lot of commonalities. And,
that's right.
And it's great that trails is one of those issues that's actually bringing everybody together.
Yeah, it'll benefit everybody. And really, sure, Miami's at the heart of it, but if you have 223 miles of trails, we're talking about helping hundreds of thousands of people.
Excellent, excellent. By the way, Eli Steers would be a good person to talk to about that. We've been talking about the Miami Loop for years,
Eli
and I think
amazing.
He's with the Trails Alliance. And
he is, and the brainchild, the person that sort of coined the term and also just sort of helped to make that connection for us was Mari Chael.
Yes.
And so she and I jointly held a press conference earlier this week on this, and very soon we'll have somebody designated to help spearhead these efforts. We're going to have quarterly roundtables, and we're going to have monthly commission reports so that we know what's moving forward and what isn't, and how we can get it unstuck. And
personally, I'll tell you, I appreciate all the efforts on Ludlam Trail, because I bought my house, one house off of the Ludlam Trail.
Oh, wow.
On Waterway Drive in unincorporated Miami-Dade County. And when I bought my house 22 years ago, they were talking about the Ludlam Trail.
Yes.
And here we are 22 years later, still talking about the Ludlam Trail. A lot of progress has been made, but man, I would love to see that come to fruition.
Yep.
My kids are going to school in South Miami in the Arts Magnet. And if they could get on that trail, they could go to school.
That's right.
Safely, efficiently.
Yep.
Without me having to get in a car, adding to traffic. Right. It would be wonderful.
What a great amenity for everybody.
As it is, they're going to graduate high school without that, unfortunately. But, it'll be there for the next generation, hopefully. Speaking of the next generation, I know you have a family and children. How old are they?
My daughter just turned 21. My older son turned 18, and he's at the University of Florida. It's his first semester. He's very excited. We're proud of him.
He seems to be bad luck given the football team's first couple of games.
It is what it is, my friend.
I take a lot of joy in that because I'm a Hurricanes fan.
Yes.
Big game coming up.
Yeah, big game coming up for sure. Yeah. What are you thinking?
Well, we should win. Given the way the two teams have started off the season, but you never know with the rivalries.
You
right?
never know.
It's a whole different animal.
That's right.
I don't even know. Are we playing there or here? I think we're playing there.
Yes.
Oh, well, that makes it a little more challenging.
There you go.
So who are you rooting for?
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one. I now have a couple of different.
This is now the most controversial thing I've asked you.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Let's see.
You don't have to answer.
I'll be rooting for everybody. How about that?
You're rooting for Princeton. Do they even have a football team? I don't know.
They do. They do. The Ivy League, whatever.
One of those things. So what else is going on? What other topics haven't we touched on that you'd like to get to?
That is a lot. We did something very simple in the last few weeks. It's something very simple that also took quite a long time for all sorts of bureaucratic reasons that you have to cut through sometimes. But we represent a complex called Smathers, which is behind the Home Depot on 8th Street. And I know folks are very familiar with it. It's 4 senior buildings with hundreds of residents. And right now, many of those folks that live there are either in wheelchairs or use walkers or use canes. And this is just such a simple everyday thing where you walk out of a building and you think, oh, I've got to get down off the sidewalk and into a car. And the way it was set up is that, you've got the curb cuts at the very ends of the block, very, very, very far away. And we're able to get a ramp installed right outside the ramp that leads out from the building. This sounds really simple. It was way more complicated than one would hope.
Is, yeah.
But I will tell you, we had a ribbon cutting for it because folks were so excited. So it's little things like that where you help make people's daily lives better, that get people out of their homes, getting some exercise, getting some fresh air, and getting around town, right? Making mobility easier at all levels, not just 223-mile trails, but ADA ramps.
It starts with the first steps.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I've always thought that, it's as an urban planner, we like to dream, right? And the big projects and the shiny things and the sexy things. And I think a lot of elected officials are the same, but really it's the small things. If we could do the small things right, it makes such a huge impact.
We had like 30 people at a ribbon cutting for a ramp, but it meant that much to them.
Without that ramp, you can't get to all the other mobility services.
You can't get to all the other stuff. That's right. not safely.
That's great. That's great. So let's see. We've talked about family. We've talked about transportation. Let's get back to resiliency a little bit because, I don't hear as much about it, in terms of sea level rise and adapting to what may be Miami's biggest issue moving forward, right? If we're going to be underwater, how are we going to live here? So
exactly.
You talked about solar panels and things like that, and I don't think any of your district actually touches water other than the river, maybe?
We've got the canal off of the Palmetto. Yes, we're the inland district. Everybody else has portions of the Miami River or they're on the bay. I don't necessarily have those things, but it's a pretty spectacular place anyway.
Yeah. But I know you gave a lot of thought to this when you were at North Bay Village.
Sure.
Because that is the ground zero within ground zero. So
well, and king tides affect us all. The reality is, we had almost 2 weeks of rain these past couple of weeks. And so we were running around putting portable pumps and dealing with king tide, which even if you're not that close to the water's, coming out of the drain. So if it's raining, it's got nowhere else to go, right? And so we're very much investing in infrastructure with our public works department to put in a pump station that will serve the Magic City area. So 37th Avenue to Lejeune, Northwest 7th Street to Flagler. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of homes, thousands of people that are affected by this. So anything we can do with regard to quality infrastructure is really important. My predecessor did a very good job of that, but there's still plenty of work to be done.
A lot of work. So Magic City, that is a major redevelopment opportunity. I understand what's going on there.
They will be, meeting with the community and creating a master plan to redevelop the entire 30-acre site. It should be very exciting. And I've been very clear that they need to create a pretty spectacular park for the neighborhood.
That's great.
There is no neighborhood, there's no park between 37th Avenue, Lejeune, Flagler, Northwest 7th Street in that area. We have to make sure that they're well served. And the Magic City folks have said they are absolutely going to step up to the table and create something multi-acre, really spectacular for the community.
Yeah, I think I know some of the members of that team, and I think they have some quality people there who want to do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they just need the right guidance
and
support.
Exactly.
Let's see. Speaking of large parks and community benefit, let's go to Freedom Park. I believe that is within your district or adjacent to?
It's nearby. Yeah. So that's District 1, but it's very close by. And so we're making sure that something really special goes there. And we're also looking at maybe how to improve their master plan and do a quality public safety building there.
Yeah.
So our Miami Police headquarters is not in the best condition. It is one of those things where the can maybe has been kicked down the road for a bit. And so I've asked the administration to, come up with a plan for actually relocating it. And so that's coming up on one of the upcoming agendas. And
the city administration building is going to be there too. So it makes a lot of sense to have them.
Exactly. But there weren't plans to move the police headquarters there. So I think that's something we should give consideration to and maybe put the current police headquarters site on the market and help cover the cost for the construction of our police building.
And it being in downtown, it should fetch a good price.
It's very, very, very desirable. It's a very large parcel.
Excellent. One of the issues I think that we need to focus on with Freedom Park is connecting it to the Metro Rail station. So many people still come to me and say, hey, we need to get Metro Rail to the airport. And we did that. We actually paid for that with our half-penny sales tax. But not a lot of people know about it. And other than getting to and from the airport, I don't think there has been a lot of, land use around that station to support its use. But it's coming. True. So you have Miami Freedom Park, people going to and from games. You have is it going to be called City Hall or just the Miami Administration Building?
Well, let's see. That's a little bit in flux.
So you'll have that office building. You may have the police headquarters. You have all the development they want to build there.
Right.
I understand there's other development occurring. So I think there's a huge opportunity to really connect people to that station and get them to use transit. What's missing is a bridge. Do you know about the pedestrian bridge that's supposed to connect the station to the park, and what's the status?
I'll get the latest on that, and I'll get back to you. That is really, really important.
Yeah.
The Miami Intermodal Center is very successful, but you really don't have that connectivity to the neighborhoods, and it is going to be a lot busier. There's going to be thousands of people there for games and different activities, and they're really designing that master plan to be active year-round, even when there's not a game,
right?
Which is really important for the success of the overall project and the area, and it's going to have a ton of amenities for the neighborhood. That connectivity is important.
And by the way, I think we just signed a contract with Messi, so he should be around for a few more years. So yes, definitely it's going to be a busy stadium.
That's right. It's going to be really exciting.
And they wear the right color.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Commissioner, we're going to end where we started.
You got it.
With the Rosado reference. I want to thank you, first of all, for being a friend, for appearing here as my guest, and for everything you're doing as a public servant. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Ditto.
Thank you, sir. Folks, that's all the time we have here on Mobility Matters. You can catch us here every other Thursday from 9:30 to 10:30. As you can see, we bring amazing guests and we explore various topics. So if you're tired of hearing about transportation, we talk about other things. Please visit our website, miamidade.gov/CITT, where you can find all of our programs and other information about us. And Commissioner, if they want to learn more about you or what's happening in District 4, what website should they go to?
Yeah, so we're on the city website, but we also are on all social media, essentially. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're everywhere.
Fantastic. And finally, we want to thank our partners in this endeavor, Miami's Community News, for hosting and producing